Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Image Critique here at Pangolin Wildlife Photography. In this video I'm going to share some images taken by our guests and give some feedback on what I like about them and perhaps what I might have done differently. We believe that feedback and critique is an essential part of helping us improve as wildlife photographers, and our wonderful guests have agreed to let me share my thoughts with you in the hope that we all might learn something new. All critique is of course subjective, and I would love to hear your thoughts too. So let me know your feedback in the comments. The images you're going to see were all taken on one of our Pangolin photo safaris, and if you would like to know more about how you can join us, I will leave a link in the description below. My name is Sabine Stols and I'm a professional wildlife photographer here at Pangolin Photo Safaris in Chobe National Park, where I help my guests get the best shots while out on safari, including image reviews and editing sessions. Before I get started, I want to mention that I do not have the original RAW files available, which means that I have to work a lot with assumptions during this review. But without further ado, let's look at this beautiful and iconic Chobe image of an elephant silhouetted at sunset. Always high up on the wish list of our guest. A lot of things though must come together to create such an image, like the sun setting in the right direction, the subject being in a side profile since it is all dark and featureless and needs to be recognized by its shape, and in this specific image the backlit dust kicked up by the elephant, which is what provides the separation between the dark tree line and the elephant itself. When looking at the camera settings used, the photographer controlled the exposure perfectly. The wide aperture produced an out-of-focus foreground and background while maintaining perfect sharpness on the elephant itself. The shutter speed fast enough to freeze the dust particles and avoid too much light intake. Although the placement of the elephant between the sun and the reflection of it in the water works, I almost find the sun itself distracting my eye away from the elephant as it is much brighter. So I think I would have also tried one version without the sun entirely. This way the elephant is placed on the upper third in the frame, adhering to the rule of thirds, and I find it to be a more balanced composition where the viewer's eye easier settles on the elephant. It's a tough one deciding between the two. Let me know in the comments which version you prefer. Next up is a portrait of an adorable leopard cub, which this photographer has been lucky to spot here in Chobe National Park recently. The beauty of it lying in its simplicity. An open aperture of f/4.5 helped to blur the foliage in the foreground, creating a natural frame and dreamy feel around the young cub, complementing its innocence and vulnerability. The cub looking straight into the photographer's lens makes for an intimate and powerful portrait. I also enjoy the warm and earthy colors in the image, but I do find that the leopard itself is a bit too yellow, and I therefore would have used a subject mask to cool it down slightly, while keeping the rest of the image in the warm and sheltered tones. The composition is right on with the subject placed in the upper right third, and I would have probably only cropped it a slight bit more to have the intersecting point exactly on the pupil. A strong portrait of a beautiful and elusive cat. Symmetry is adding a great strength to a composition, and the next photographer managed to capture this moment of three elephants aligned perfectly very well. The photograph feels completely balanced because of the three elephants' heads, tusks and trunks almost identical in the same position. The odd number of subjects helps this further, as an image composed of an odd number of subjects is visually more pleasing than an even number. I also love the simplicity of this high-key image. The dark elephants against a calm white background, and the conversion into black and white works very well. A wider aperture would have helped to create more background blur and eliminate some of the distractions in the background, and with the RF 100-500 lens at 270mm that should have been possible. When looking from a compositional point of view, I would have left more space towards the left, the top and the bottom, some breathing space and room for the elephants to walk into. Now, I'm not sure if it was cropped or taken like this, but looking at the focal length and lens used, there would have been room to zoom back a little more. This way it gives this beautiful image a more airy and less caged-in feel. So far, all the images have been taken here in Chobe National Park, but the next stunner was skillfully captured in Kalahari's Dinaka, one of the destinations we visit on our Chobe Delta Kalahari trips. And the most exciting feature there is the bunker height, where you can sit and photograph animals that come and drink on eye level right in front of you. Now, I have to say I'm quite jealous of the photographer here, having so many lions lined up for a drink. The intense stare of the lion in the middle and the reflection in the water is quite something. A true wow moment, and looking at the equipment and settings used, it is a very skillfully executed photograph. The metadata shows that it was taken late in the evening and the light was very low. By using the widest aperture setting that this lens permits and dropping the shutter speed much lower than one usually would with a long telephoto lens, presumably resting it on a beanbag, the ISO was kept relatively low for the amount of ambient light available. Therefore, it is a very usable image with good details and not an overwhelming amount of image noise. By the looks of it, noise reduction has been applied, and I might have used a bit less here, but this is hard to judge since I do not have access to the RAW file. Because of the extremely slow shutter speed of a 20th of a second, some of the lines that were moving have a bit of motion blur, whereas the static ones are nice and sharp. I almost find the lines that have motion blur and this one facing down to be a bit distracting, and would try a tighter crop as well as straighten the waterline. I realize that this diminishes showcasing the number of lions, but I would be willing to compromise this for what, in my opinion, is a more intense and captivating portrait. This also shifts the pride a bit higher and more on the upper third of the frame instead of the center, while still keeping most of the reflection. Alternatively, if one wanted to keep all the lions in the frame, I would opt for a custom crop and create a panorama effect, again placing the lion's eyes on the upper third. So this is a phenomenal image, and congratulations to the photographer here. Last but not least, this image of a herd of giraffes silhouetted against the sky caught my attention. A very artistic and interesting photograph, ideal in black and white. The gradient of tones from deep black to a lighter shade of grey behind the giraffes and the white sky on top works beautifully. The challenging part of creating an image like this with a group of animals is to find a moment with perfect separation between each subject. The two giraffes bending down are unfortunately overlapping and therefore flaw the composition a little bit. The second challenge is to achieve good focus. When zooming in, you can see that the giraffes are a bit fuzzy, and either the focus hit the trees in the background, or there were atmospheric conditions such as heat haze, which, looking at the time of day the image was taken and the focal length used, is a great possibility. A more minimalistic approach, zooming the lens way back out, which would have drastically reduced the optical distortion resulting from heat haze, could have been an option here, and with the added negative space, enhancing the minimalistic feel of this lovely African silhouette. I hope this image critique has helped you get ideas on how to improve your own wildlife photography. Let us know if you find this format of reviews useful, and we are happy to make more of them on a regular basis. Please also keep sending us your best images, and thank you so much for contributing. Until next time.